Morning, mate.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Dog walked.
Jen's out with him just now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, I was on there. Well, I feel like quite frequently I'm on the early shift, and then Jen like comes down once breakfast is ready, and then she takes over from there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Very good. Very good. How
he's
how is there lots of accidents or is it not too bad?
nah, he's now got like so every so often he like pees during the night, but he just pees on his puppy mat.
Okay.
Um, but then like for this morning, you're like kind of, oh, what am I walking into? But then there's like no, there's nothing. So he's
That's
pretty
pretty.
good. He's pretty
He is a Labrador, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this morning he was just like clean floor and then straight out pee poo,
Yeah.
straight back in brekkie, uh like play around for like 30 minutes and then he needs to go out for a pee again and then that's him for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours.
It's good. It's pretty
So
good.
um he really just needs like and that's what we're just getting to now is like he now needs walked in that time because he's just like full of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um but he's got his last Jags on Saturday,
Okay. Okay.
and then he can be out and about.
So is he about 10, well, almost 10 weeks? Is that what it
No,
is?
he's 12 weeks.
12 weeks. Okay.
Yeah,
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 you've had dogs before as well, right?
yeah. I've got a dog, like a little Lhasa Apso crossed with a Jack Russell.
Okay.
Uh, which when I moved, I just left with my mum. So like, cause I
Yeah.
come from a farm,
Yeah.
like we just like open the door there and he can run around. So
Yeah.
like obviously I moved into like the city, he wasn't really going to have the same quality of life like
Of
living in a city.
course.
Um, so he'll like come through if my mom goes on holiday, like he'll come and stay through here,
Yeah.
um, which is fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say Sully's been a lot easier than Nico was. Like Sully just seems to like pick stuff up really fast. Like I guess like a Labrador's like an intelligent dog, whereas like cause Nico's like like he's a terrier.
Yeah. 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 They just
Um,
like a ball, you just throw anything, like they just keep doing it and doing it. My brother's got a little terrier and it's just like you could just throw the ball for just hours on end and it would just do that the whole time, really.
Yeah, so he digs like
Okay.
nothing on earth.
Okay.
Um, and then probably at one point when he was young, I was like, oh, I should really train him to like do the job that he's bred to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but because like Lhasa Apso is like a really like well-natured and fun dog,
Okay.
and then a Jack Russell's obviously like this like killer instinct. So because I didn't really train him one of either ways, what I've got now is like, see, like on the farm, if he appears like with a rat or a mouse,
Yes.
he'll like play with it,
Okay.
like up until the point of he's bored with playing with it,
Okay.
and then he kills it.
That's
Yeah, you know, like I really should have like trained him one of two ways, like tell him not to go after them,
Yeah.
or train him properly to be like, right, if we're doing this, we're doing it properly. But we've ended up with neither, so we've just got this sadistic killer in the family.
How all in with the training with Sully are you? Is it like clicker and treats? Is it to that level or not?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much all in. So he can set, he can set for you, he can paw for you. On a good day, he'll paw for you, and then obviously because he's a lad, he's food driven. So put his foot down, and he'll sit and he'll wait until he's told.
Right, okay. It's good.
Um, he generally is his recall is pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Um, he's just obviously at the minute exploring a lot of different smells.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
he's like, sometimes he's fine, but then other times he's like, oh, but this is new and I want to do this for a bit longer.
Yeah.
But he won't leave you. So like if I disappear, he'll be like, oh God, where's he gone? And he'll
Right,
come running
okay.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he's getting there.
Puppy training classes or not?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. With when we were training Poppy when she was like a puppy, uh, we had to have a board in between us and other people because Poppy would just get so excited by all these other dogs and like again because she's kind of uh quite intelligent and wants to be like seeing everything and all this sort of stuff. Uh, yeah, it would the all the other stimulations just had to be blocked out as much as possible. And the lady was just like, "Look, she's super intelligent. You literally just need to train her to chill out." So that's what it's not as fun, but
Yeah,
that's
okay.
what we had to do. So
So I think we just need to make sure that he's like sociable around other dogs. So
yeah.
like already there's like a park up from Jen's mum's where like
Mhm.
we take Sully and Jen's got a collie like in
Okay.
the family.
Yeah.
So Mickey the collie is just like obsessed with the ball. So like you just like throw the ball for him, but you walk past like there's a house that have got like a bunch of dogs that come to the gate when you walk past and they like bark like quite hard and like
Yeah.
Sully's like he's very scared by the prospect of these like 3 4 dogs that come to the gate. So it's like yeah, I think he just needs to like I guess once you're out and about and walking and stuff, he gets that
Yeah.
bit more. But
Yeah.
yeah, he just needs to interact with other dogs and
Yeah.
uh
Just as many situations as possible, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. We're lucky that we've got Heaton Park pretty close, so it's literally like just meet every single dog that you can. We kind of took the road that like she will get told off, but she'll kind of learn from that really. Uh,
yeah.
we were a bit more kind of relaxed like that really, but um, I know Mitch is quite uptight about Brian. He'll kind of pick him up, I think, as soon as another dog comes walking
Oh,
past.
really? Right, okay. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's good. I feel like I mean, I feel like we're pretty disciplined people anyway, but I think for me, especially through lockdown, it was quite nice to keep keep a routine, where you were getting out kind of a couple of times a day, and yeah, it was quite good actually.
Is that when you got Poppy?
It was just before. It was like the
Right, okay.
summer before, so it was yeah, it was quite good.
She was young when that hit.
Yeah, yeah. But like I say, because Heaton Park was close and everyone was still out walking, it was kind of she was all good really, like social
Yeah.
stuff. So but yeah, yeah, it's good. We should probably get down to what we were actually gonna chat about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I want to get out of this conversation is a bit of background about yourself, kind of from when you started CrossFit a little bit about before, and then what your role is with JST, and then a little bit about what you kind of do now within the team, just so people have got a good idea of who Fraser Clark is when they turn up a competition and they see you helping
Yeah. Fair,
helping them out. So,
fair.
take it away, mate, wherever you kind of think is best for us to start.
Um, so I guess place to start is what I do now.
Okay.
So um, I guess my job title officially is individual coaching manager.
Yeah.
So basically, what that entails is supporting the individual coaches with their athletes and kind of overcoming any hurdles that maybe crop up. But then also helping new athletes come into the bespoke setting. It was a thing that JST, like when I started, had always like loosely dabbled in it, but it was never really like the kind of crux of like what JST did.
Mhm.
But there was clearly a market there for it, and people wanted it. It was just how we did it, and then so I came onto the team in what 20 September 2022. Is
Yeah.
that right? 22. That seems like an awful long time ago now. So September 2022, and then took a couple of months for like us to really gain a bit of traction up here in Scotland. But then I think once people saw like what we were doing and got to meet me and understand kind of what I was about.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we now do pretty well. Like up here in Scotland, we've got a lot of like really great athletes on the program. Um,
So just before that point of when you kind of joined JST, like what were you doing before? Did you do individual programming before? Were you just kind of coaching? Yeah, what was kind of the landscape with where you were at and stuff?
so I put my own affiliate in St Andrews in Fife. So
Yeah.
anyone that doesn't know St Andrews, it's home of golf, which is like it's a student town, and the gym opened in like early 2016.
Mhm.
Um, but really, like I got into programming side because we we just had like a group of like 4 or 5 of us
Yeah.
that just kind of went around these competitions, and sometimes we did well in them, sometimes like we didn't, but we were pretty consistent at showing up at stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and usually it was like things like a battle for middle ground or like a castle games, and we would have like we would either podium as a team or like I would make a final as like an individual, and so people just kind of got to know a little bit about you, and then really the way we were set up was that in our affiliate was like we tried as much as we could to do like a little bit of classes and then like a little bit extra. So basically, what happened was like the athletes that wanted to compete, I ended up programming for
Okay.
on top
Yeah.
of like the classes that they were doing.
Mhm.
And at the time, JST is the only program I've actually ever followed. Um,
Okay. So on and off since you started CrossFit in
in
2014?
2015, yeah,
Yeah.
early 2015.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I joined JST in 2017.
Right.
And then the only time I had a break was when I was trying to get a mortgage.
Right. Okay.
Like that,
Cool.
that's such an adult problem. But when basically when you're like trying to save for a mortgage, you're like, right, any like payments, like it's like I don't all the like the little spends that like I didn't actually need. I was like, right, okay, that needs to just like go away for a couple of months.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then as soon as I got my mortgage, I was like, right, straight back on. So um, yeah, literally the only thing I've ever followed, and I guess it was because I actually told this story at our kind of brand day the other day, but
Yeah.
uh, I joined immediately after coming back from regionals in Madrid in 2017. So that'd be when I started. It was like I'd obviously inquired because in the Open that year it was like, CrossFit JST, top of the team Open leaderboard. I'm like, who are these guys? And then started to pay a bit more attention, and then we were in Madrid,
Mhm.
like when you guys qualified for the games, and I just remember like so thoroughly being like sat behind all the GST fans,
Yeah.
and like they were wild, and like at that point we were wild, but like they were wild next level, um, and like you could just tell like huge community support. It was exactly what we were all about, and it was like they were the loudest people in the stadium, and like they were so bought into like what like you guys were doing, and I was like, I need to be a part of that. It was like I want to be like they've got huge support. The athletes are clearly good at what they do, so like I want to be a part of that. So that's when I joined the program.
Okay. Okay. What were you out there kind of spectating at the time and stuff, and who was kind of the group who you were kind of training with at the time as well? Just if there's any names where people might recognize from back in the day a little bit more.
So like I was just there spectating. And it was like that kind of like we love CrossFit, so we're like, uh, if we can get a holiday out of going and watching a bit of CrossFit, then
Let's do
let's
it.
do it. So I actually traveled out on my own on the like Wednesday, and
Right.
like did a day of like sightseeing around Madrid,
Yeah.
like on my own on the Wednesday, and then the guys from the gym that I worked with, like came and met me
Yeah.
like on the Thursday, Friday, and then we watched the regionals for the weekend, and then I got the first flight home on Monday morning, straight back to coaching class on Monday night.
It's interesting, isn't it? Do you think people still do that as much? So, like Leon last year, do you think people still go out to watch semi-finals like, I don't know, kind of back then as much? You know what I mean? It's a bit more like, I'm going to go there specifically to watch semi-finals and stuff.
I think in Europe we do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so.
I think Leon and Berlin were both great in terms of like the atmosphere, particularly around the top heats.
Okay.
I guess like what and I guess this is like no real disrespect to those athletes in those heats, but it's like you can tell how the flow of the day goes.
Yeah.
So it's like if you've got an athlete in one of those early heats, you're probably there to watch. But it's like when the top heat comes on and all the big names come out, like the place is heaving and the place is loud, and then it kind of settles off a little bit, and then it gets really busy again. It kind of goes in waves. But I guess because it's an all day event,
Yeah, of course.
That generally happens in like a swimming event. Also, I come from a swimming background, and
Right.
like the sessions where like all the heats are, and particularly like the long distance events, like yeah, there's no one there, and then the finals come around, or it's like finals that people want to see, and like the atmosphere is is electric. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think in Europe people do like still travel.
Yeah.
I think Leon in particular was good because the French obviously had two athletes like with a real shout of qualifying, so like Claudia and
Yes.
Victor, and that's all the chants where it was like Claudia, yeah,
It was really
like it
good.
was incredible. And I think Berlin was similar because Feibig was in the mix of qualifying.
Yeah.
So if there's home interest, the atmosphere is good.
Yeah, I do agree. The other than back in the day when it was in Denmark, Iceland always used to have like a really big kind of contingent. And that obviously isn't a home crowd, but they always used to be really quite noisy. And same in 2017, like it was either you here in Team JST or the Icelandic guys who were doing the thunderclap.
Yeah.
But I do think, if there's a home athlete that has got a shot at the games, it does make it the atmosphere just extra special every time. Coming back to kind of your role a little bit more now then. I guess how before you joined JST, how do you feel like working with the competitive guys and that sort of stuff? How did it kind of and coaching in the gym? How that kind of set you up for programming and kind of wanting to step into more the online side of things?
So the working with competitor side of thing was more like where my interests lay. Like I was a competitor. I come from like a competitive sport background. Like I said, I was a swimmer. I was a rugby player. So like people performing and competing was what I was more passionate about.
Yeah.
So like I guess you start to weigh that up when I'm like in the affiliate, like coaching all these like people on the daily that are great and stuff, but like when you weigh up your time, you just lean more to like I apply more time and effort to these people who are competing. And it's just like you just kind of gravitate towards the thing that you're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
So that was how I ended up working with the competitors, and then from like the group I had in my gym, it just then became like a couple of outsiders started to come into the mix.
Mhm.
People who were still local in Scotland um came into the mix. So it was now like my gym, the people in my gym plus like three or four more. And that all started around the time that we introduced regionals.
Okay.
Um and basically the crux.
To confirm, not like CrossFit regionals, as in.
No, JST regional. Sorry, that's confusing. Sorry, JST regionals. So conversation happened was because we hosted our regionals in our gym,
Yeah.
and I think it was Kirsten and Alexa had like qualified. It was the year that they'd like qualified for semis, but they ended up not going because Alexa had hurt her ankle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they were like, they were kind of looking at programming and what they were doing, and I think they're obviously like Liam was the regional manager in Scotland at the time, and conversations around like Kirsten and Alexa's training, JST, and like I think there have been like some difficulties around like the individual coaching side of things, and like that we just like didn't have the coaches particularly like them being so far away. And I
Yeah.
think that's where the kind of regionalized approach, like kind of in terms of what we do now, had like come into play. And I said to Liam, I just said, you know, if they're looking to do this, that's a thing that I would potentially have interest in doing.
Okay.
So then, to be fair, like, and I've said this a couple of times on a couple of different things. Like, I really have Liam like to thank for
Well,
like dropping the seed with like you and Steve about like doing it, and then like it kind of snowballed from there.
yeah.
It took a couple of months.
Yeah.
I was left kind of like wondering kind of is this going to materialize or what? But then
Then you got the call up.
well yeah, so I was I was on holiday in Lanzarote because at that point Sammy Robb was in Lanzarote.
Yeah.
So I was there on holiday, and then Steve messaged me, um, and basically it was like it was loosely, well, oh yeah, we need to have a conversation about this like coaching thing, but really, I'm looking for a teammate to go to Madrid because Sean Hardwick's injured, and I was like, I mean, okay, like I'm on holiday right now. I was like, oh, when is it? He was like, yeah, if you're, I was flying back on the Tuesday. He was like, yeah, you need to leave on the Wednesday. I was like, oh. So, so I literally flew home from Lanzarote, uh, washed all my stuff, packed another bag, and flew to
Straight
Madrid the
up.
next day. So, but that's it worked out well. Like I was in it, that was a team. It was like Steve, Ella, Jen,
Yeah.
and myself. And then really like from that moment, like, that's really when I started with um, JST coaching. Um, so yeah.
Let's talk about that regionalized approach because some people might be a bit like, what are you talking about, Fraser? Like, what is that? Tell us about that.
So when we're now looking at athletes like coming into bespoke, I think what we've generally found, like, and obviously I am the kind of main example, is that um, the more contact points that we can have in person, the better like our relationship and a service that we can give.
Okay.
So like for me in Scotland, and Scotland's quite unique, but it's like basically anyone can come to me within an hour. That's where the gyms are kind of set up. Is like if they really need something, um, like they have me close handed, and it was really like, can we recreate this? That really is like if there is a deep issue that we need to give some care and attention to, someone could drive 2 hours and see their coach in person. I feel like online programming is great, but it's like being able to see something in real time happening and work with the person hand up like face to face is always going to trump that.
Yeah.
Obviously not like it's obviously like that in person thing is a bit of a separate entity to what we offer. Like we don't we currently don't offer like in person coaching away from training days and stuff, but it's like knowing that if there's someone close to hand,
Yeah.
we could help facilitate that.
Yeah.
Um, so basically now it's like if an athlete comes to bespoke, it's like, well, firstly is like, does a coach like have the capacity to like work with you and take you on it like as an athlete? But then B, like, does the geography kind of make sense that if something was going wrong or you needed assistance, you could like drive to them? And then C, I guess like does this relationship fit? Because those two would you make a little bit of a trade off in terms of a relationship fitting to me does make more sense than just based off geography.
Yeah.
So like I guess a good example of that is Quarry comes in a masters athlete who's like kind of on that cusp of like the later end of the masters division.
Yeah.
So we've got Aoife, who is like trained in like female health, and she's like pre-postnatal and all the kind of relevant like super qualified in like female and dealing with females.
Yeah.
But then we've got Hugh, who like works with quite a few masters athletes now.
Yeah.
So you're like, right, we need to then make a trade off of like what fits the bill. So we've got Hugh, who's in Scotland, this lady who's based in England, and you've got Aoife like also in England.
Yes.
Like we go the this lady and I went back and forward on this a little bit in terms of like what we thought was the best fit for her. So she went with Aoife as like she's closer in geography, and like the female health thing to like the athlete made sense.
Yeah.
So like the regionalised approach is just like another way in which helps us decide like who like which coaches go with which athletes, and such like, which is obviously part of my role.
Um, when you come to make a bit of a decision about those sorts of things, like what's your kind of process of going through that? Like how is it that, you know, what do you prioritize? Like what's how do you figure that out?
So like when the athlete like inquires about bespoke, I'll like arrange like a quick 15-20 minute call
Yeah.
where I'll just get like some pretty basic some pretty basic information um about where they're at, what they need, and what they think to work on. And really it's really like the in that it's just like getting like the crux of the information, like right, what like where are you at, or what are you doing just now, and what's broken down.
Yeah.
And then from there it's like who's just best fixed to like fill that gap that you need. So like that could be like where the athlete like needs the assistance the most. So I like we've got like a really great array of coaches that I would describe probably specialize in like different things.
Mhm.
So we've got guys who have like training stimulus, movement mechanics, qualifications. We have ex weightlifters on our books. We've got gymnasts. We've got women's health qualified. So we've got like a really different array of like qualifications and expertise that is like, right, if something's broken down for this reason, like that's the perfect fit. But
Yeah.
also if it's nothing really as like deep as that, or it is just basically is like what's restricting me in my CrossFit performance is the fact that I need to get better at these things. Like I also just have like a great well-rounded group of CrossFit coaches that are based around the country
Yeah.
where we can service people close to them. So yeah, it really just comes back to like me deciphering from that call like where like what does the athlete need, and
Yeah.
how are we positioned to help them as best we can.
What what are the advantages of like having a team of coaches? Because obviously out there there's loads of you know, individual coaches working on their own that I don't know, like people can kind of maybe see occasionally or maybe not. What like of having the team, obviously we've talked about the regionalized approach, but what about like for you being a coach, what's the advantage of like having the team as well?
um I think it's mainly if I need help I've got someone to ask.
Yeah.
So for me it's like I'd like to think my coaching knowledge is like somewhat okay. And
Okay.
then, but I guess if it's like, if ever like I'm not sure of anything, I have like a team of people to bounce ideas off of. Um, and I think that we have we have a lot of good stuff like that happens. It'd be nice to do more of it, but I just think of so like the guys who have movement, who are like trained in movement mechanics, can do movement assessments obviously on other people's athletes, and then they can work collaboratively to give the best to the athlete. So it's like, yeah, we've got this one coach that's helping them on the daily, but it's like, because we have a team of people who are who like work and training or specialize in a variety of different areas, we can like lean into people's expertise to ultimately give the best to the athlete.
Yeah.
And the movement mechanics one being like a really big one for us. Like I also just have like a great, well-rounded group of CrossFit coaches that are based around the country,
Yeah.
where we can service people close to them. So yeah, it really just comes back to like me deciphering from that call, like where, like what does the athlete need, and how are we positioned to help them as best we can.
What are the advantages of like having a team of coaches? Because obviously out there's loads of individual coaches working on their own that I don't know, like people can kind of maybe see occasionally or maybe not. What like of having a team, obviously we've talked about the regionalized approach, but what about like for you being a coach, what's the advantage of like having the team as well?
Um, I think it's mainly if I need help, I've got someone to ask.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I'd like to think my coaching knowledge is like somewhat okay, and
Okay.
then but I guess if it's like if ever like I'm not sure of anything, I have like a team of people to bounce ideas off of. And I think that we have we have a lot of good stuff like that happens. It'd be nice to do more of it, but I just think of so like the guys who have movement, who are like trained in movement mechanics, can do movement assessments obviously on other people's athletes, and then they can work collaboratively to give the best to the athlete. So it's like, yeah, we've got this one coach that's helping them on the daily, but it's like, because we have a team of people who are who like work in training or specialize in a variety of different areas, we can like lean into people's expertise to ultimately give the best to the athlete.
Yeah.
And the movement mechanics one being like a really big one for us. But then also just the if, for example, we do have athletes that are paired with someone who's not in the same geography. So,
Yeah.
like, athlete for me, I have Amir in Leeds, for example, who I don't get the in-person contact with him that some of the Scottish guys do, but I
Yeah.
know that he can go to a training day somewhere in Leeds or in the north, east, or west,
Yeah.
be coached by one of the other coaches, and they can report back to me in terms of here's what Amir's done really well.
Yeah.
Here's what he still needs to work on. So that we've got this like collaborative approach that really just helps us like get the best for the athletes.
I think in addition to that as well, if we want to put teams together for competitions, or if people are looking for partners, it's kind of like, right, we can just put a message in the coaches group, and straight away, you can be like, well, I've got Charles and I've got Kieran here who are looking for, I don't know, a girl for this competition, or what was the other one I had, with like the training days, like you say, it's being able to organize these different events, throughout the country, and get that little bit of contact that otherwise, Amir or someone else might not be able to get. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
think, well,
like said, UK champs is going to be a prime example. So we've got a team where we've got like a four that have worked together that Mitch works with, and then we've added two people to a team.
yeah,
But then we've now got another team, which is literally based off like There's one from Scotland, there's a bunch from the Midlands, and then we've got Hugh's athlete Alyssa, who's based all the way down like in Plymouth way, like Devon way, all on the same team. So like if we didn't have coaches and like based all around the country working more closely with these athletes, these things would likely never happen. And I guess like the circle community provides us with an opportunity to do that, but you're then relying on like the athletes doing it themselves, and like I feel like quite a lot of the time the convenience factor probably rules like people out of it, or like, oh, I could put the message in the circle because I want to do this, but it's like I don't know whether I'm going to get a response, or like it's a lot of effort for one of the athletes to take on board. Whereas like we as a coaches, like if like we can be a little bit more hands-on or push people towards it because we work with these people a little bit more closely. So yeah.
And like the support competition as well, I think it means like for this summer as an example, there's like SID UK champs, and then the BF3 individual national champs like the week after. There's kind of plenty of competitions going on this summer. Obviously coaches have got to have a little bit of a life outside of coaching and doing CrossFit, and it's kind of like, well, like Fraser, you could be at SID UK champs, I could be at the national champs for BF3. Dan might do, a competition that's a weekend or two later or something like that. It just means that we can support more athletes at competitions as well, which, I think that allows us to kind of help the whole scope of athletes, whether they're going to a Rainhill Trials or they're going to World Fitness Project, or whatever it is. So I think that's the other cool thing that we can offer, and that we've also always offered but just not on the scale that we can do now, really, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next thing I kind of want to go into is why, obviously, like we've got JST Athlete with all the different tracks, so people can kind of navigate their own seasons and stuff a bit better. Well, much better. But why might someone decide to go bespoke? Like, at what point do you think people are probably like, right, I'm going to go bespoke now? Or maybe they're thinking, I don't know if bespoke's for me. Do you want to kind of go into that?
So usually people come to bespoke at the point where they come onto the program and they see these like huge improvements in training, and then usually the switch to bespoke is at the point where like it starts to slow down. And then really from there it's all about like the level of specificity that person needs. So I guess like the way in which our offering works is we have options where people can remain still hugely a part of the community, like in still having like a bit of a bespoke program, or they can move into like the kind of fully bespoke offering. So like I think a lot of people will also move into bespoke if like they have plans that exist out with the longer term development, and that's usually where I would like encourage people to like move to bespoke, is like if you are thinking that you're going to compete a lot, but you still have like bigger goals in play, is like realistically it was like you need some degree of alteration to the program to be able be able to do that. And I guess I think about like Charles and Kieran as like those two people. So compete a lot, but like still have aspirations to compete at a high level. But it's like if you think about how the phase of training that we're in right now, where it's like off, it's like we've gone into like an off season phase in training,
Yeah.
but they like want to compete individually in the elite category at SID UK champs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got their eyes on potentially doing or trying to qualify for Wadapalooza at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then you're like, right, okay, we need to utilize this period now to like for you to do as well as you can at SID UK champs because that's important to you.
Yeah.
But then we really need to make the most of the window of like SID UK champs to Wadapalooza to like not a long window.
Mm-hmm.
And then like if there's anything that's highlighted is like we just need to address these things directly.
Yeah.
It's not like it can really be merged into like a whole bunch of other stuff over a 12-month period. It's like Charles probably won't mind me saying this, but it's like, hey man, it's like you need to be doing getting considerably better at double unders
Mm-hmm.
in this window if you want to stand a chance qualifying for Wadapalooza. So it's like I can't just be prescribing like whatever's in JST athlete on double under is like you need to be doing double unders like far more frequently or more skill work in that like in that window as an example. So
Yeah.
just giving us like right the scope to be like right here's what you need and this is the window that you've got to do it in. So like the path of bespoke is there's a variety of kind of paths that people can take. So it's like a three-tier option.
Okay.
So you've got like a tier two where there's still like a level of specificity, but it's not a huge amount of specificity. But generally, like when a athlete comes on, you you probably look at all those 10 tracks and you're like, man, I need a little bit of everything on this. But obviously you obviously can't do this. So
Yes.
I think if you were to go and actually look at it, it's like you'll find that people do like kind of chop and change between
Different track.
the tracks and like they probably don't really have a lot of kind of continuity in terms of getting the best of it. So like tier two, we as the coaches would just like they open it up and the stuff that's left there is only the stuff they need. So like
Yeah.
they don't need to deviate from it. Um, and then they've got the kind of they know they've got the kind of guardian angel of the coach on their shoulder to just be like, right, are you doing this? Like, are you doing this stuff? Because this is the stuff that you're like that you need out of the stuff that's already there. There's like we're not changing anything. We're just we're reorganizing it to fit for the athlete, so
Okay.
that they don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's be honest, it's so that the athlete doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So if I'm like I've got a busy job and I've got this 2 hour window to train in, like I don't want to have to go and navigate through all the tracks and then decide what it is I'm going to do that day. Like I
Yeah.
just want to rock up, open up my fitter, and be like, right, Fraser says I have to do this, do that, done. Um, so then you start to like go up the tiers, and tier three is like semi bespoke. So what's good about tier two is like if snatch is my weakness,
Mm-hmm.
the coach is going to put like is going to leave the snatch work in
Yeah.
like that week.
Yeah.
What sometimes you find with that is like doing more snatches is fine, but uh, might not be the right snatches that you need. So
Okay.
like if I use like the end of the last phase in an example, so it's like if I'm a person that like has a bit of a weakness in like the transition phase, like third pull, getting under the barbell.
Mm.
But like we finished off with like lots of power snatch work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if I've got like don't have a great third pull under the bar, but like I'm constantly doing power snatches, like I'm
Yeah.
not really going to address the problem.
Of course.
So like I come in and I rewrite the snatch progressions
Mm-hmm.
so that we work specifically on third pull, getting under the barbell, whatever I think's really going wrong there.
Yeah.
But in that, you might see that like their conditioning still follows along with the main track. So they're
Okay.
like, right, you need to snatch, but like the snatch that we've written for JST athlete, like still like works, would still get you better at snatching. but it's like it's not directly fixing what's going wrong with your snatch.
Of course.
So and if we do that because the athletes send us videos.
Yes. Yeah.
So we analyze it with feedback, and then we like that because it we can tweak stuff because it could be that we give you a certain thing to address it, but like we don't click or that thing doesn't click straight away.
Yeah.
You need to have obviously a bunch of different tools in the toolbox to be able to fix the thing.
Yeah.
So we can just rewrite like progressions to kind of fit. That's the one where the majority of our athletes that choose to go bespoke are on that semi bespoke because there's a good level of like specificity and coach contact and coaching goes on.
Yeah.
But they are still like very much like immersed in the community. So like they still have the opportunity if there's a couple of other people in their gym also following JST, they can jump in on training with them while still doing their own bits and as such.
Okay. Okay.
And then the top tier is obviously I feel like takes care of itself. It's like a fully bespoke program. The only the crossover of the fully bespoke to everyone else is that regardless of whatever tier someone's on, each week they should do a variation of the whiteboard workout. So they may not be doing like the RX version or option B, but it's like in there there'll be their version of the whiteboard workout that week. And I think it's just for me certainly it was important that we recognize that like we are like a community, like in a group program, and we want everyone to be a part of that, which we feel like the whiteboard workout each week was a fairly easy way of doing that.
Having that overlap. Yeah. I think because that's one of the reasons that initially kind of pulled you in, wasn't it? Like the community seeing, seeing the fans and what you can build off the back of having a great community, support each other. Like I say, that's one of the reasons that pulled you in Madrid in 2017. And for me, like I say, having a great community that supports each other in a sense where it's like, right, what did you get for the 30-minute bike test? Well, I got this. You just kind of beat me there, but I know I'm not that far off you. And you kind of giving each other a pat on the back though anyway. It's kind of like those little interactions do actually mean quite a lot. And then when you come to do the upcoming cycle, it's like, right, I know Theo's going to be keeping these paces for the cycle and I'm going to be an RPM or two behind him, but like I'm going to do this because I know he's going through that a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my mind, I love that kind of idea. If I'm going through it with other people, even if we're not in the same room, I think it just kind of means that little bit more.
I think everyone doing the whiteboard workout each week, regardless, is like you still it's different obviously because it's training, but you have that like that leaderboard mentality.
Yeah.
It's just like there's in your head subconsciously there's just a bit more goes into it.
Yes. Yeah. And we're all competitive. Like we're all doing CrossFit because we're competitive as well. It's like get your fix every week. Do you know what I mean? And just having the leaderboard workout in there can help with that. So that's good insights as well. I was glad you kind of touched on the different tiers because again, I feel like people maybe aren't too sure or sometimes a bit too shy to ask and don't know the information. So yeah, really glad that you covered that. Do you have any kind of stories where people maybe aren't sure if they should go bespoke? You've spoken to them, they end up having gone bespoke and it's gone like really well. Anything like that? Any on the fences where it's like actually, yeah, just take the step. putting down this,
Um,
or just success stories, so to speak?
yeah, so I guess I've got a lot of really great success, like, or I would feel that like they're success stories. Um, I've also like yeah, I guess success stories. I feel like we always do what like I feel like I always get like a good result like from athletes when we like get into like they've qualified for an event and
Yeah,
like um we get into like that like very kind of specific like competition prep phase, and that's I guess you start to see the fruition of like the work that people put in. But that's where like the level of bespoke like probably comes up a little tad,
yeah,
because you're like this now all looks like CrossFit, and it's like you're like working towards um like these events. So that's I think that's where like we start to like really see how successful like the bespoke has been, and then the results kind of speak for themselves. So like I guess like uh Anita at said UK Champs last year is a good example of that, where
mhm,
um she's doing lots of like CrossFit but still like addressing her weaknesses, which is like uh low skill machine grunt work.
yeah,
So it's like she's doing a lot of that while preparing for this event, and then she won part of the machine event. Like, so she won the max ski, and you're
okay.
like, how? I'm literally like, how did you do that? Um, and then there was like a sandbag event at the end where like uh, she was nervous about going onto the floor with this big heavy sandbag, but she finished second in the event, which ultimately won her the whole thing. Um, and then that four that went to French last year.
Yes, yeah.
So like all of them were on bespoke. So like um having to link up all their training,
Hmm.
um that becomes a pretty tough. I guess like them all being on the same program helps, but like syncing them all up timing wise, and
Yeah,
times where they had to do stuff together and stuff. But when you like getting that right is obviously hugely rewarding.
yeah. What
Um,
like you're a pretty good individual coach, right?
why, thank you.
What makes you a good coach? So say I'm like a young, say I want to kind of go into this as a career. Um, what would your kind of advice be to someone that does want to step into this and really succeed?
I think listen to your athletes.
Okay.
Um, they're going through it on the daily. Um, give sprinkle that touch of like they what they think they need versus what they actually need.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you mean by that?
so there has to be they think they need it because they're not good at it, and really they think they need it because they want to do it.
Okay.
And it's like, well, that's good because that's going to keep them engaged if you're giving them the stuff that they need. But then also is like, know that with that is like, well, you also need to do this because you're bad at
Yes. Okay. Okay.
it. And then um I think be be willing to be willing to be flexible.
Okay.
um and I think probably more so now is like just the communication, and being able to communicate with all your athletes effectively. So like there's people that I'll have like some pretty direct conversations with,
Yeah.
and there's people that like probably like need a bit of an arm around the shoulder.
Okay.
And there's people that need a bit more regular feedback or contact. And there's
Hmm.
ones that I know that are probably quite happy being left and will like need me. So like building relationships with these people is like the most important thing. Like usually it's like I think about all the when I think about like maybe athletes that have left the program or changed coach, it's not usually because the product doesn't fit. It's because the coaching relationship's broken down.
Yeah.
So it's like if we have good relationships with these people,
Mhm.
then generally the athlete will get the result that they want because that like they're invested in you as the coach.
Yeah.
Um, I also like think like knowledge is power. So
Mhm.
like don't settle with what you know. And if I come back to what we spoke about earlier, is like the amount of things that I've like picked up and learned off of the people that I'm surrounded by, is incredible that I can then apply and like to athletes that I work with. Because it just makes you think about things differently.
Yeah.
Um, hearing other perspectives and being open to other perspectives.
The quote, but for what you just said there, the quote in my mind of you are like the average of the five people that you spend the most time with, or speak with the most, like that really resonates in my mind. It's like how good and what are those people who are around you like? And you are the average of those people, whether they're, working hard, they're always trying to learn more. Like it just rubs off. It rubs off on you. It really does. So it's important to kind of choose the people really that you are spending that time with and that you are connecting with regularly,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So,
I guess the other thing is I think the other thing as well to stress is like, and I guess for like an athlete coming on to Bespoke is like, um, if you're expecting a miracle early doors, it's probably not going to happen.
yeah.
Um, pro Probably another one of the styles of communication I've become known for is like I don't really sugarcoat stuff. Um, so that's probably another sugarcoat for anyone listening to that is like if you're expecting a miracle early doors, you're probably not going to get it. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to invest in it and trust like what the information that you're being given, you're likely going to get a good result.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and allow for stuff allow the time for stuff to happen.
Hmm.
Um, go through the process of like the progressions and know that some progressions will work better than others, but like that's all part of the journey. It's like very rarely will I find a coach that like doesn't want you to succeed.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, it may just be that um
Just
like yeah, it just needs time, or it just needs like a tweak here or there, or just like a different, like a little bit of a change. But generally, like yeah, if you allow it the time, like it will happen.
yeah.
The most successful athletes that we have on our program are the ones who have stuck at it the longest.
It's true. It really is true that. Um, just jumping off the back of that, what events are coming up the next few months that let's kind of highlight some things that people have got going on. Because obviously you're quite close to Jen, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
her being your other half. Um, her and Ella recently came third at High Rocks in Glasgow, and they've both qualified for World Fitness Project, which is pretty
yeah.
insane. Uh,
So the calendar for the next little while is hectic.
okay.
So I guess the first big one coming up is Malaga, Woodlands in Malaga.
This month. Yeah.
So um, Ella, Jen, Justine, all qualified.
Yeah.
Uh, who's actually going like finals and who's going TBC, because I think because of the nature and the timings of it all, it's all a wee bit up in the air because it's 2 weeks from World Fitness Project.
Yeah.
There's an affiliate semis in there. There's friend, yeah. So there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, we've got master semis this weekend.
This weekend. Yeah, and youth as well.
Youth as well.
Yeah,
So like I think we've got a really great opportunity to get lots of athletes to team games and masters. So like Lewin, Jack,
Hugh.
Hugh in the masters. So like we've got like a good show there. Then the girls are at Malaga. World Fitness Project is 2 weeks later. So
Yeah.
Ella and Jen are in Indianapolis. Ella's made it as a pro and Jen's made it as a challenger. So pending leaderboard. Before
Uh,
the week before that is online
French
semis.
online semis, right? Yeah, yeah,
Um, and then after that, we've got BF3 Masters in the mix
yeah,
there. It's in a couple of weeks' time as well.
yeah,
So there's a big JST contingent going there.
yeah.
We've already had all the teams go at that, and then really at that point it'll all be leading to Sid UK champs and the girls going to Chicago for High Rocks World champs.
Worlds. Yeah,
So
it's
we
busy.
had, we were having a conversation in the house last night about accommodation and flights and where we're going to be each week because French we haven't even said like we've got Philroy going
Yeah,
to French and
Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones is going in the RX category.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, like there's tons of athletes there doing tons of really good stuff. Um, yeah, it's just all about manic, isn't it?
it's chaos. And like you say, if you were a one-man band, you're not managing that. You're not
No,
juggling all that yourself, are you?
no, no. But yeah, we'll see. It's obviously an exciting time.
Yeah, it really is. It's an exciting few months. Like I said, athletes have got a lot of things going on, but coaches probably more so have got even more to juggle with. It's
We
busy.
had, we were having a conversation in the house last night about accommodation and flights and where we're going to be each week because French we haven't even said like we've got Philroy going
Yeah,
to French and
Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones is going in the RX category.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, like there's tons of athletes there doing tons of really good stuff. Um, yeah, it's just all about manic, isn't it?
it's chaos. And like you say, if you were a one-man band, you're not managing that. You're not
No,
juggling all that yourself, are you?
no, no. But yeah, we'll see. It's obviously an exciting time.
Yeah, it really is. It's an exciting few months. Like I said, athletes have got a lot of things going on, but coaches probably more so have got even more to juggle with. Like I say, if we've got a few different athletes doing different things, it's just kind of managing that as best as possible, isn't it?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's great. It's great to see.
yeah, love it, love it.
Uh, is there anything you kind of want to leave with the athletes, whether it's kind of knowing the steps of how to go bespoke or just kind of some advice? Yeah, anything you want to kind of leave athletes with, people with?
So, um, if you are interested in bespoke,
Yeah,
then you can either fill out the form
yeah,
on a website,
mhm,
or you can just send an email direct to coaching at
okay,
jstcompete.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at
yeah.
FGM Clark, or message the JST Instagram. They'll all feed into that path of me probably phoning you up and telling you why it's the best thing ever. Um, and then yeah, I guess particularly if you're like the athlete that's been with us a while and you're thinking that you're now at the stage where you need that increased level of specificity, then we're obviously here to help with that.
Yeah, that is definitely something that some of our athletes aren't aware of. It's like, right, maybe I feel like I've squeezed as much juice out of JST athlete as I can, with where I'm at, and I just need that little bit more like guidance, that kind of mentor maybe to help you kind of, you know, kickstart things again a little bit more. So yeah, great stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Fraser.
No worries. No
That's
worries.
brilliant. Thank you, mate.